Welcome to the All Outdoors Photography Podcast with your host, Rylan Meadows, Ryan Taylor, and Henry Doyle. In today's episode, we talk about this summer's camera news.
Hello and welcome back to the All Outdoors Photography Podcast with my hosts, Henry Doyle, myself, Ryan Taylor, and Rylan Meadows, where we discuss everything all outdoors and nature photography related.
We want to thank you all so much for the support that you all have been giving us recently on the podcast. Remember, you can see us on Spotify, YouTube, and if you see us on YouTube, you actually get to see our beautiful faces, and I'm sure a lot of you all want to see that.
Indeed. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about some of the recent camera news, like the R5, R6, Nikon Z5, those kind of things. So we hope you enjoy this episode.
I will be the first to say, I'm out of the two other guys, I know nothing about gear, at least recent gear. So I'm pretty much just going to be shutting up and having them talk most of the time. But yeah, should be a good episode.
Henry has some
cover.
I'm so sorry.
Well,
Henry has some pretty exciting stuff to talk about.
Yes,
he's got a pretty exciting. I don't know if I call it an announcement, but it's pretty exciting. You know,
it's gear related. So
it'll definitely positively affect my photography. So I'm really excited about it. So
it's already paying dividends. You know, I've seen the few shots you've shared.
Wait till you see Saturday's shot. But let's just get in the podcast now. So
now I'm excited.
Yeah,
you can't just do that to us.
All right. So we thought the first thing we talk about is kind of the Canon late July announcements, being the R5, R6, and all those.
It's getting hot.
Yes.
Get it.
Very hot.
Get it.
Yes.
Get it. Because it overheats. That was a good one, Rylan.
And we'll touch on the video stuff a little bit, but we're mostly a photography podcast, so we'll mostly be talking about the new innovations in that field. So let's just get into the R5 and R6. What do you guys think about it?
Mixed feelings on the R5, obviously, because I feel like they way over marketed it, and I feel like they kind of just flat out lied. I really do, because I feel like they tested it in a very controlled environment, and obviously at this point I'm kind of talking more about the video than anything with that 8K. It's just, I feel like they lied, and that's repetitive, but I really don't have any other way to explain that.
I feel like they did the wrong thing in their marketing. Like, they should have, it's a really good photo camera. It's an amazing photo camera. They've never really had a camera that's this good with all the autofocus, and it has 45 megapixels, great dynamic range. But yet they decide to market the 8K video, which overheats in 10 seconds. So I really think if they had focused on that, we wouldn't be out having all this outrage. And if they had told us right away that, hey, this 8K video, it only can record for 5 minutes, I think people would have been a lot happier.
Yeah, I agree. Because 8K is superb, and 5 minutes, you're not going to be able to record this big long thing, but you could have a decent short video, like a short film or something, just film parts of a film. It would be great, but they didn't do that, and I think that was a huge mistake on their part, because they've really got a lot of backlash from this.
Yes.
Is that 5 minutes a continuous? You're just shooting, recording rather for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. And it just overheats?
Yeah, the problem is after that you have to let it cool down for 20 minutes also. So say you're out you're out doing wildlife photography. This is what I don't like. If I ever have that camera and I'm shooting a bird or something and I want to get a quick video clip, if it's a little bit longer, I might have to let my camera cool down and miss some shots.
Yeah.
Which would suck.
And there's that issue with, I know on night sky photography, it's overheating is pretty common with the sensors, and that can introduce, I believe, dead pixels.
Oh, really?
And
wow. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I believe that can be an issue. But it might be the same with this camera.
I wonder if anyone's tested that on the R5. I feel like if any camera is going to have any kind of overheating issue, it's going to be the R5.
But I feel like the photo is amazing. In a couple of years, if I have the money, I'm definitely going to purchase the R5. Not for video. I'll keep my RP for video. But it's really cool. What I really like is the animal IAF. It's absolutely amazing. I was watching some test videos, and if there's a bird behind brush, they can literally, the focus somehow knows to go through that brush and go right to the eye of the bird. It's insane.
Whoa.
100% accuracy autofocus.
Huh.
Which is really, I'm sorry, Henry. I was going to say that. That's really good for like,
Yeah.
especially birds when you're able to get that 20 frames per second too.
Oh yeah.
Because like you're just constantly shooting, and the IF is just insane. It's really accurate.
And the shutter's so much more quiet because it's mirrorless. So I think it's great for wildlife photography.
I do too.
The R5 and R6. The main difference photo-wise between the R5 R6 is just the sensor, the 45 megapixels versus the 20 megapixels. So just based on what your needs are.
Which is great for full frame, of course. I mean, the way they advertise this camera, from the little I have seen, is like, they advertise it as like the next generation. Like this is like the next big thing. So
yeah, I mean, it really is. It's
specs. Yeah,
it's got IBIS too.
Besides the overheating, awesome. Yeah, you can't go wrong with it.
I mean,
it looks really nice.
They gave us exactly what we wanted. Like all the EOS R shooters wanted 2 card slots and IBIS. That's pretty much it, and uncropped 4K video, and we got that. So, I mean, I wouldn't complain too much about it, and I think it's great.
Either.
Yeah.
So you'd say it delivered on, I guess, your promise. Yeah, it's a nice one though. I'm just looking at it, and it's about, the body only is about almost $4,000 though. The list price.
That's not horrible. I mean, if you think about it.
For what you're getting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then
are just
with the
insane,
R6, with the R6 too, that's the only difference pretty much. There's lesser video specs, but 20 megapixels is the sensor size, and that's the sensor right out of the 1DX Mark III, which is Canon's best sensor, obviously, because that's like their top of the line everything camera.
Like their flagship model.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the professionals use it nowadays.
I'd say most Olympic photos from the past past probably 20 years have been on 1DX cameras or 1D cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, not surprised at least. I wonder how many professionals are gonna, or if they already have hopped over to the R5 then.
I would say if not video professionals, I think we're gonna get very few filmmakers that actually use it, but photo.
Yeah.
I can
just
definitely
still photos.
There's just been so much hate and backlash. I feel like if a filmmaker was like, "Oh, I use an R5," I feel like everyone would just kind of glare at them. Just like disapprovingly.
And they go back to like their 5D Mark V or whatever.
5D Mark V. I mean, this basically is
that the
5D
newest one?
Mark V.
It's like the successor, pretty much.
Yeah.
The closest thing you can get to it.
And they announced some cool new lenses with it as well. I know there's a 100 to 500, which is pretty cool. I probably would have liked the 200 to 500, like Nikon has better. So you can like have that 7200 and it doesn't overlap, you know what I mean? Like, and then they announced some other cool lenses, like there's the 85 millimeter macro, which is pretty cool. That's kind of more of a budget lens. And then they announced the 600 millimeter and 800 millimeter f11, which
dude, you're sold on those, I swear.
Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with them. So
I
rented the 600 millimeter from Lens Rentals, and I paid about $50 for a week, which is not bad. But about 3 days in, I bought it. Like, I had to. I loved it. Like, I already have so many good shots. Like, I've got like 2 weeks worth of Instagram posts already in the past couple days.
Wow.
And yeah, I love it. It's a great lens. People were complaining about the f11, but it's on a full frame camera, so it's really not that bad. It's pretty much comparable to like an f5.6 on the APS-C. So it's, if you think about it that way, it's really not bad at all. And it's got amazing autofocus. Like, I'm amazed. I'm using the RP, which is generally, it's not bad autofocus, but it's the worst performer out of the R system because it's the cheapest one and stuff. And it locks on instantly, always sharp. And it's got an amazing image stabilization system. I think it's like 5 or 6 stops, so it's really good. I don't think it's weather sealed. Well, it's like probably weather.
I think it's like partially and fully, because I have a Tamron 150-600, and it's kind of partially, like, you can see the rubber seal on the lens contact, like right on that neck there. But I've never really had too much of a deal with it. It's been out in rain plenty of times, and it's been fine.
Yeah, I think it's weather sealed when it's like folded up like this, but to actually shoot it, you unlock it like this, and it extends. So I don't think it's weather sealed when you do that. But if it rains, you can just lock it right back in.
I think it's really good for transportation, like that size. You're not gonna find a 600 millimeter like that. Like, even though it's an f11, I mean, who cares? That's insane.
And for $700 too, it's insane. And
That'd be new too, right? I mean, I guess
yeah,
you rented
it's
it.
new.
Yeah,
I was the first rental to person to
that's
get it,
really good.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it's also very light, surprisingly. I think one of the reasons it's so light is because it only stays at f11, so I can't go to any other apertures. And that's not necessarily a huge negative for me, because I don't think I'd want to go any darker.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
I
for
can't,
landscapes, I guess, but
I mean, not really.
If you really need it, but I don't think you would.
yeah.
Usually in landscapes, the farthest I'll ever
Mhm.
go is like f16. I very rarely do I go past that. I mean, and especially with the 600. I mean, you're primarily doing wildlife, and I
Yeah.
can't imagine you want to get any darker. So I don't really think that's a. I don't think it's a downside.
Yeah.
They answer my question at least, because I was going to ask you if you're just continuously at f11.
Yeah, always at f11. It's actually it really simplifies
Since
things
it's the widest.
because you only have to worry about the shutter speed and ISO, and then it has a control knob on it, which is pretty darn awesome. And I bound that to ISO, and that's so useful when I'm in those dark situations. So I lock in my shutter speed depending on if the bird's moving or not, and then I lock in. Of course, my aperture is always locked in, and I just adjust the ISO right on the lens with the same hand, like to hold it, if that makes sense.
I gotta ask, because I'm seeing you rotate like the lens barrel, and I'm seeing it. Is it zooming? I don't know how to describe it. Is it moving like? Yeah, it's moving from the back. The lenses I have, like the barrel, you know what I'm saying? Like it moves from the front.
Yeah, so
how's that work?
This isn't actually zooming, so it's a prime. I think it's just...
Oh, it's a focus.
It won't even let you shoot when you're closed up. It says, please move lens to shooting position. So you have to move it out and lock it, and that's how it can shoot. I think this is mostly for just compactness. I don't know.
Stabilization.
Probably in
transportation.
It reminds me of, I had the Canon M50 before my RP, and it had a little lens that it would fold into itself from the back too. So it's been used before. It's definitely not a new thing, but it's definitely very convenient.
Actually, yeah, I guess that makes sense because I have a 24 mil prime lens. It's a Canon one, and it like when you shut off, if it's attached to a DSLR and you shut it off, it would just automatically like retract into it, if that makes sense.
Is it that little pancake one?
Yeah, pancake one.
I used to have that. That was good.
It's a good one, man. I love it. I still use it all the time. So taking great shots with it.
Yeah, I love this lens. You will get noise. You will get noise. That is the thing. But like I said, it's on full frame, and I can get usable images up to ISO 10,000 probably. I can recover in Lightroom,
which is really good. I mean,
our system's amazing for that. It's really good.
It's not, I don't know if you all have ever looked into it, but something that I've been looking into a lot recently, which is mainly because I shoot APS-C. I think you both are full frame. Am I right?
I'm crop.
Okay. Well, I've been looking into checking out Topaz denoise.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you all
me
that,
too.
but I mean, it seems insanely good with its AI, so that's something probably gonna be investing in soon.
I think it's only about $40.
I think it's 70.
Oh,
don't quote me on that.
Is it like a forever license or subscription?
Yeah, it's just a one-time payment, so that's really not that bad.
I should consider that with my lens too. Like,
yeah, I mean, you get your ISO insanely high, especially with your full frame if you got that.
I don't know if you saw the owl picture that I took, but you guys can see it on Instagram. But it was like in almost completely dark forest. Like I missed focus, but that wasn't a problem with the ISO. That was just I accidentally focused on a leaf in front of him. But it was like pretty usable for. Sorry, no, go ahead.
Great shot.
I was gonna say, really, just missing the focus is small. It isn't really that big of a deal with an F11 anyway.
Oh yeah,
because you can just kind of sharpen it out, and I mean, it's still in slight focus.
Also, when you're sharing on the web, it's just on that little screen, so it's not too big of an issue. You're not enlarging it.
It was out of focus.
I even printed it.
I didn't either.
I even printed it from Walgreens on a little postcard size. It looks perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good shot, but yeah, that's a cool thing about cameras because you just said it's like it was dark out, but like it kind of mimics almost like daylight. You know, you really can't tell. It looks like it was maybe late afternoon in the shade.
Yeah.
But so was that like right before dark, pretty much?
Well, no, it was actually completely bright out, but I was in an extremely thick forest. Like I had overgrowth on every side of me. So.
I'm sorry, you probably just said that. Whoops.
I didn't say that. No.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a cool lens though. Yeah, man.
And
really like it.
I decided
You told me.
I could have gone with the 800 too, but the main reason I picked the 600, the main
First
reason
one.
I picked the 600 was because of the filter diameter. It's 82 millimeters versus 95, and I just didn't want to buy new filters. I'm already invested in the Polar Pro 82 millimeter, so yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, it's like how much do you really need that extra 200 mil? I mean, you can, but I'm fine with my 600.
Mm-hmm.
Anything above that's just icing on the cake, really.
If I hadn't already invested in all the gear that I had in Nikon, I would really be considering switching to the R series because those lenses, they really sell me. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, there's places I didn't really want to talk about this too much on this episode, but I sold my 7200 to get another RF lens. And also buy this with some of the money. So MPB, it allows you. They give you a quote and you can ship it to them for free, and then you can trade in. It's really cool.
We're sponsored by them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, I use them for my I use them for my Tamron actually. So yeah, it worked out pretty well. And it was the same price as your 600 mil was.
MPB.
Yeah.
If you do see this, you can call us. We're not gonna say no.
So I loved the RF experience because I'd always used EF lenses before. I love the RF experience that I sold, 2 of my EF lenses to MPB, and I found this really good super zoom for the RF mount. And I know normally super zooms aren't good quality, but this one actually is. It's like a $1,200 24 to 240. And I decided to save weight, and it has better autofocus. And I was having a lot of problems with my 24 to 70 anyway. I was having some weird sharpness issues. I told you about that story with the snow. Some of those issues are still showing up even after it got repaired. I don't understand it, but so I decided to switch. I'm pretty much all RF now. That lens is coming Monday, I think. So, yeah.
That's exciting.
Good deal. You get new toys to play with.
Yep. And I actually got money because I sold those two, and so I didn't really spend any money, which is nice.
That's fair. I know for me, as a rule of thumb, I usually just keep all my lenses. I don't know. The resale value is not really worth it for me, but it's totally fair if you can pay for a new one like that.
Which I mean, I bought this Nikon 24 to 70. I got it off KEH.
Oh, they're good too.
I think that's where I bought it, KEH. And I mean, it was used, and I can't tell it's ever been used. It's in great condition.
Yeah, I bought a used. The one from MBB is used as well.
Barely tell the difference.
Basically, that just replaces my 24 to 70 and 7200 because it was just a lot of weight, and especially with the 24 to 70, I wasn't seeing the results I wanted. So this will be a lot lighter, and it'll have the better autofocus, control ring, all that kind of stuff. So
that's fair. So what other cameras or gear are we looking at?
All right, so we've got the Nikon Z5. Nobody really knows what the heck Nikon's doing with this.
I'm ashamed. I just went on a cover.
Rylan, do you want to talk about that, or?
I'm just disappointed in Nikon in general. I feel like their PR has just been terrible. Their marketing, they're just they're doing a pathetic job.
I mean, there was nothing about this camera, nothing.
If you do a web search of the if you do a web search of the name, it says entry-level full-frame mirrorless. Which it's like a lot going on
which
there.
Which is great.
It's like a direct competitor to my camera, the RP.
It's something
looks like
needed, I think. But they're just I don't know why they're not pushing, like they're advertising more. Like Canon went crazy with the R5 and R6, and I think if Nikon priced the Z5 just a hair, I don't know, $100 lower than the RP, and they marketed it like they did the R5 and R6, I think that would be a great way to bring kind of people into the industry, like soccer moms or something that want to take pictures of their kids and want something a little better than their cell phone quality.
Yeah.
A Z5 would be perfect for that, but Nikon's just kept their mouth shut, and I want to punch them in the face. Thank you for your time.
If you guys don't know, the Z5 is $1,400, and in comparison, the RP is $1,000. So when you're in that kind of price range, that extra $400 really means a lot for buyers.
Yeah.
So Although
Especially
the RP is older, so you do have to keep that in mind as well.
Right.
And yet somehow better. At least we're saying that.
Well, I love
I'll-
it. I have no complaints.
I want to
Yeah.
see something, a mirrorless lineup coming to the industry, whether it be Nikon, Canon, Sony, Fujifilm, whatever, that's like a $900 or $800 price point, like a beginner camera,
Mhm.
like
Mhm.
like the
Like
D3500,
A beginner
which
full
is my
frame
secondary.
or beginner APS-C?
No, it doesn't necessarily have to be a full frame.
Mhm.
I just want to see the mirrorless camera
right.
come in cheap like that. It would be great if it was full frame, but I'm not sure that's even possible with that price range.
My primary camera body, my only one right now, is a Canon EOS 80D, and I bought that for like $1,000 used. That was just the body only, and that was pretty much marketed as both a crop sensor camera and like an intermediate level kind of camera. So I mean, it worked out for my use. But yeah, they definitely need something like you said, Rylan, like the 800, the kind of almost 1,000 price range.
And
Yeah.
This just might be too
lenses
much for
too.
that.
Like-
Yeah, I'm looking at the Nikon's website, and you can get the body only is 1,400. You can get a 24 to 200. That's about $2,200, and then 24 to 50, and that's a little bit less. So
I just want to punch Nikon in the face for that whole thing. If they would have pushed that more, I think it could have did a whole lot better than what's done.
Although I do think it's going to be a good wedding photography camera because it's full frame and it's got 2 card slots. That's what's keeping wedding photographers from doing the Z6 or Z7 because of that 1 card slot.
That's true. That 2 card slots was a big deal for the Z lineup.
I mean, although it's not important for like what we do for other things, or
Right.
even like Rylan for your portraiture and stuff, and like that kind of stuff. It's very crucial that if you have a card
Yeah.
fail and you only have one, your clients, who knows what they'll do to you. Like
Yeah, I mean that would be something
terminate
big.
contracts.
I've heard horror
I-
stories from
Oh,
things like that.
Yeah, especially high level
I
jobs.
feel like
Mhm.
the embarrassment would be. I mean, could you imagine having to call a client and be like, "I didn't get any of your photos," like, and they had like a 2-hour session? Oh my god, I would freak out. I really would.
Mm. And
Well,
it
I've
does
been-
have IBIS too, which is good.
That's fair.
But
I've been
though,
reading a lot lately on like legal issues or just like contracts because I've been actually making one lately for a job, and it's like you really have to cover your butt and just say like, hey,
Yeah.
if in some case like illness, injury, if my card fails, if the camera breaks, it's like you gotta have these
Like, don't
stipulations.
sue me.
Well, yeah, pretty much. It's like you have to like save yourself because things do happen like that. Of course,
Yeah.
memory card goes corrupt.
and the one big negative to the Z5 is it has a 24 megapixel sensor, which is good. That's good for most things, but it's not backside illuminated. I don't want to get too technical, but the backside illuminated sensor is what makes like digital sensors so sharp. So like, there's not been any physical tests with the camera yet, but like it's gonna look like a 12 megapixel camera from what I've heard because it doesn't have that backside illumination.
Explain like I'm 5. So what's that exactly?
I don't really know myself, but I know it's
Something you want,
like
pretty much
yeah.
desired at least.
Each individual pixel on the sensor is individually lit or something. I don't know. But
Whoa.
it
Huh.
improves. Pretty much every camera has it. I can guarantee all 3 of our cameras have it. Even
Yeah.
like little point and shoots have it. But for some reason, Nikon wanted to cheap out
Wow.
and do this. So
I wonder
Saves them
what
money.
their profit is for that. I mean, for real, if little
The
point and
sales?
shoots have that and they're taking that off, like I wonder how much Nikon is making off of people that buy that camera because that's ridiculous.
yeah.
If
Well,
like
they're
oh my
failing as a company and they're
They really
losing
are.
money. They really don't have any money for research, and that's very obvious in here. There's nothing new and groundbreaking besides the 2 card slots, and they've done that before in DSLRs. So
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't see anything that would warrant any research on this list. So
okay,
So-
next we got the Fuji Xt4, which is it's kind of old news. It's not new or anything. I mean, it's new, but it's not like new. So
Hmm.
Henry, I'll let you start on that, mainly because you're the smartest one here about this gear stuff.
So I think the Fuji Xt4 is pretty cool. It's definitely great for video, but I feel like it's just kind of it's not really that much of an upgrade from the Xt3
Yeah.
if you're just shooting photos, because the only change is really the IBIS.
In
Not-
my opinion, I'm sorry, Henry.
No,
I just got you
no,
off.
you keep talking. That's
I do this like 50 times an episode, and anyways, I was gonna say, I think it's a whole lot. The XT3 and the XT4 is a whole lot like the transition to the D5 to the D6. I feel like
yeah.
obviously they don't have anything between the lineup, but Nikon does. Like I think it should have been like the D5S, obviously, instead of the D6. I've talked about that before. But it's not like a big leap or anything from the XT3 to the XT4.
Well, I don't think we should really compare it to the D5, D6, because the XT4 does have better battery life.
Yeah.
It has a better grip and stuff. It's literally the D5 to D6 was literally nothing. It's just the same camera. Let's just face it. I mean,
You're really right.
yeah.
I can't think of one thing different like on the top of my head from the D5 to the D6.
I would say most camera bodies it's like incremental. The changes that really happen with each model is so small. Like you have to wait several generations to really see any substantial difference, I think.
Yeah, that's what's so weird with Canon. They're like, they have their thing going, like all their cameras are at 24 or 30 megapixels, and all of a sudden they have these 45 megapixel 8K video shooting IBIS mirrorless cameras.
Well, technology is changing so fast.
The
too.
R7 is going to be like the same thing.
I feel like all other camera companies, maybe besides Sony, are kind of stuck. They're just kind of doing those incremental updates. They don't have money. Like Olympus is pretty much dead. Nikon will be dead soon, I bet. And
Henry, you shut your mouth.
You heard it here.
You don't talk like that on this podcast.
If you ever want to switch to the Canon world, I'll help you through every step. Okay.
I'll call you.
Get the R6 if you can afford it. It's good.
Okay.
I'm not in the market to buy a new one though.
Yeah, I mean you're in a good place with your ADD because you can still use most of your lenses if you ever decide to upgrade the mirrorless with the adapter, and it works pretty well. So.
Yeah, because it's crop sensor. It's like you can use the EF and EFS. I only have the pancake lens is the only one that's EFS though.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't use EFS unless you're shooting video on those cameras, because
that's what I usually use a 24 though for some landscapes, but yeah, a lot of video.
Because I know if I'm shooting on my RP and I do the APS-C crop, it's 10 megapixels. So personally, that's not enough for me, but maybe it is for you. I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of carries over. You can just upscale it to 4K, and it works out just fine, I think. It's if you're shooting video, rather. So, which one's next?
Well, we don't really have any more, but we can talk about some rumors if you guys want.
Like what?
That's fine with me.
Well, there have been rumors around about this like high resolution camera war. I don't know if you guys have heard any, but there's rumors of like a Z8 and like an R. I don't even know what it'd be called, like an RS. And this RS is supposed to have 100 megapixels in it, which would be crazy. Like, and Canon has showed off the sensor before. They had an expo once, and they actually showed it off. So it does exist. I don't know if it could be put in a camera, but and then there's also rumors that Nikon's working on the same thing. So what do you guys think about that?
I think the Z8 that's been floating around for almost 6 months, and Nikon hasn't said anything, which doesn't shock me with Nikon anymore. Nothing really shocks me with Nikon. I mean, I really think that instead of, if they're gonna try to step up like a huge step from the Z6 and the Z7, I truly think the main thing they should be focusing on is the 2 card slots, like more than anything.
Well, I guess that's what they did with the Z5, honestly. I mean.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not really a huge jump from the Z7 to the Z5. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, it's a huge downgrade, but like the Z6 and Z5 are pretty much the same thing.
I would like to see like a jump, and then I would like to see that extra card slot, obviously.
Yeah.
It'd be the only thing you really need to upgrade then.
I mean, I feel like everyone's like I know in the early 2000s and stuff, it was all about megapixels, like who has the most megapixels. But I feel like we're at a point where that doesn't matter as long as you're over about 20. I think 20 is good. Like I feel like 20's.
Yeah.
20's like the standard nowadays.
If you're mostly
for years now.
Mm-hmm. If you're mostly on social media and stuff, you don't need more than 20. And even if you can print pretty big with 20 megapixels.
I don't know if you all have seen this, but there's rumors about like the up from the D850s or the Nikon D880, which I've heard that it's supposed to be like the same sensor as the Z8, which is 60 megapixels, which is a lot. That's going to give you a lot of room, especially for massive prints and stuff.
I feel like
But-
the future of Nikon is really not mirrorless. Like, I feel like they should be selling their DSLRs and really working on that instead of mirrorless, because obviously mirrorless is oversaturated right now with the Fuji, Sony, Canon.
I truly think it was a mistake for them to start the Z lineup. I really do. I think they should have just stuck to DSLRs. They're doing great. And then they spent too much time on the Z industry, and it just didn't do anything for them because Canon and Sony were doing the same thing. And it's just they weren't as good either. So it just, I mean, obviously they're not going to backtrack now, but I mean, if they're going to stick with mirrorless, they really need to come up with something really good.
From what I've heard, the S lenses or whatever the Z lenses are called, they're pretty bad. Like, they're pretty sharp and stuff, but they're bad build quality and kind of plasticky, from what I've heard. And the Canon RF lenses are like amazing. Like, they're like some of the best design lenses in the world. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased, but they're awesome.
Well, you've had use with them, so
Yes.
yeah. I say you're more reliable of a source, at least.
All right, so what I really want to come specifically to the EOS R line is a landscape focused camera. And I'm talking, I've seen this on cinema cameras. I really want a built-in ND filter. It might sound crazy.
Oh.
I know it might make the camera bulkier, but I really want an automatic ND filter so you can just adjust based on whatever exposure you want. I think that could be absolutely insane. And I feel like there's not a lot of landscape shooters that are using the R system right now. I feel like that would really bring them over.
So it's built into the lens?
Well, cinema cameras have it where it's built into the sensor. It goes like
into the
it's like a
sensor.
little thing that goes right in front of the sensor.
I've seen those. I think that would be really neat. Landscape isn't like my main focus, obviously, personally as a photographer. But I think that would be something great to see because I know before I've went out and I've had issues with ND filters, as we've talked about previously. So it would be really great if you could like just press some kind of button and the ND filter would come down. I think that would be neat to see.
And Canon already is interested in that technology. They have an adapter to adapt your EF lenses that has like a drop-in filter that you put behind the lens. So that's really cool. I've never tried that, but it seems like it's pretty good. So the technology is there. But like
I've never heard of that though.
yeah, it's
Like,
really only in
this is
cinema
news to me.
cameras. But I think there's some Pentax cameras that have it. They're kind of irrelevant at this point, but
I was gonna say Pentax. That's probably why the reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can really give any insight on Pentax.
I don't think anyone on the earth can.
Did they even have anything new?
No, but I know a couple years ago they made some pretty awesome DSLRs. Like, if they had a good lens lineup and they were still producing cameras, I might honestly buy Pentax.
I think they're more of a novelty in like the film days.
They've got some good digital stuff.
Do they really? Okay.
Yeah. They were the first company I think to put IBIS in a DSLR. Pretty cool.
Wow.
Jeez.
I want a Leica. I want one of those gold Leicas. It costs like $25,000.
You're just paying for the name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do.
I don't even know what the specs are, but it's probably just nothing special.
Just buy an RP with a little 35mm prime lens. I guarantee
Say
you
that.
it'll outperform the Leica any day.
It probably would.
Yeah.
I feel like a Leica is like a camera for an old rich man that just wants to like take photos of his grandkids.
Yeah.
He was at the camera shop, and they're like,
Yeah.
get this one, just so we can take
Oh
your
my
money.
gosh. Back when I first started, I think it was in Las Vegas. Well, I hadn't just first started, but I'd never heard of like Leica before, I guess, at this point. And I was like at Las Vegas at some kind of mall or something. And I seen like they had a store, a Leica store, which is
Oh, wow.
weird. I don't know if you all even know those exist, but
No.
apparently they do.
I'm not
And it
surprised.
was just there, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just like some kind of camera store or something because I had never heard of Leica. I was like Sony, Nikon, Fujifilm, Olympus, which doesn't count now, and I left out Canon. Canon too, obviously. And I was like, oh wow, a camera store. And so I went in thinking like they're gonna have Nikon, Canon, Sony. I was just gonna like kind of look around at the cameras and stuff. And then like before I even got to the cameras, I stopped and looked at the tripod, and the tripod was like a Leica brand tripod, which I've never even heard of before I walked in the store. It's like $200, which like that's not crazy for a tripod because I've heard of that. But if you've seen the way that the tripod looked, you would think it was expensive because it was basically like the Bum Photo B6908. That was a lot of letters and numbers. But if you have seen that, it's just like it's like a $60 tripod. It's not very. It's got like the middle. I'm not sure what you call it. It's like the middle thing that allows it to
center column.
Yeah, thank you all. it had that, and it looked like it would be flimsy. So
it's probably the cheapest thing in the whole store, I bet.
It probably was. So like once I seen that, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna slowly back my way out of this store and leave.
Leica's like crazy sometimes. Like they have a monochrome camera that's digital. It literally all you can shoot is black and white. I don't understand. Like
wow.
You can literally it's a mirrorless camera. So why don't you just use a Leica Q2 and
picture
just
style.
Set it to black and white? I don't understand whatsoever.
Yeah, don't they have do mirrorless cameras have picture style?
Yeah,
still?
I can
still a thing?
Yeah, I can shoot through my viewfinder.
Does anyone even use those?
Yeah, I do all the time. I can shoot through my
really?
viewfinder in black and white. So I can see black and white, which is cool.
Yeah, I used it like once years ago, like a million years ago. It feels like by now, but yeah, I just was always taught it's like don't waste your time, just post process later, you know, for the color and all. I never saw the need to really do that anymore.
The cool thing about mirrorless with the picture styles is it doesn't bake it into the file, so I can shoot in black and white, but I can convert it back to color if I want. So.
Oh, okay. Can you process in camera with that?
Yeah, you can, but I do it all in Lightroom usually.
Yeah, that's fair. So I was thinking about this lately, actually. What kind of features do you guys think you'd want in like the next camera, or your next camera, or just in general? I think one thing I'm thinking of is touch shutter. You guys use that at all?
Oh my God, touch shutter is probably the worst thing on my camera.
Yes, it is single-handedly the worst thing I've ever seen.
Oh, I want to focus here. Tap. Oh, nope, you can't.
At least on Canon, there is no way to turn it off. It is like
I know
the button's always there.
I dug through the menus. I searched online tooth and comb. Nothing. You can't turn it off. It's always in that stupid corner. And I always get like I always brush up against it, or if it's like hits my side or something, it turns on, and then I go like autofocus, tap or and just takes a picture. It's always a blurry mess. I hate it. It's the worst thing about cameras.
Do you have that on Nikon, Rylan?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I have a way to turn it off though. I just never have because like I just
one
don't
advantage.
You don't mind it?
Just scroll forever. Oh my gosh, Nikon's menu. I know what I want. I want a better menu setup from Nikon. Oh my god, it takes me forever to scroll through there and find what I'm looking for.
I can't remember. I used a Nikon camera in high school, but that's like almost a decade ago. I can't remember how the menus looked. I don't even remember what camera it was, honestly.
Not fair.
Like personally, I don't really care about the camera's menu system, because I pretty much have everything that I need in the quick menu and like all the dials. I never really see myself searching through the menus.
Like sometimes I format my memory cards and I clean my sensor, or not sensor, but sometimes I'll clean my mirror like once a month or something. And like it's complicated to just scroll. They have like your recent things though, like once you get to the bottom, like what you've recently used, and so that's pretty easy to go to there because that's typically where I'll need to go anyways. But I just hate it. I want to see like voice commands.
Yeah, search bar. Why isn't that a thing? You think that would be? Yeah. Is it?
It should be.
Camera technology could be so much better. We could have like.
I mean, look at our phones.
I know.
I could literally say, "Hey Siri," right now, and like my Siri comes on. Why can't we say like, "Hey Nikon," what will we do?
Dude,
hey,
you gotta. Rylan, you gotta patent that.
Imagine Lightroom. That would be really. I mean, what about this direct sharing from like the back screen of your camera to Instagram or Facebook or I don't know, whatever you post your photos on. Just like send it anywhere. Kind of just like having an internet. Cool. What about a data plan? Like having your like I mean just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, being able to like text yourself images or email or, like I said, post on social media. I feel like that would be something unique.
I mean, camera companies have complained about consumers not buying their cameras. If you do that, there's many more sales right there. If you make entry-level cameras that have all those features, so it's not hard, so you don't have to plug in that SD card and charge that battery, take out the battery, all that kind of stuff. If you do all those features, I guarantee you people will flock back to cameras.
Yeah, it's like it skirts that fine line between people, like what you're saying, like the audience of people that like their phones, but they kind of just want something a little bit more. Like I know they make those little lens attachments you can stick on the phones, but maybe they want something that they can really kind of handhold. And it feels more tangible that way. So that'd be like the next step up. It has smartphone features, but it's still.
I mean, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a DSLR. It could be like a kind of like a point and shoot. That'd be neat. Because I feel like that would draw more people in.
Yeah, I would guess it'd probably be
something
mirrorless.
Smaller.
Something mirrorless.
Mirrorless. Is that a thing? Mirrorless point and shoots?
All point and shoots are mirrorless.
Yeah.
Oh, there's never been a DSLR point and shoot. I don't think.
That makes perfect sense. I didn't actually think about that
because
I forgot most point
like
shoots
you're pointing,
digital
you're
zoom.
Pointing and shooting. You're not like putting it up to your eye and shooting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's funny because like years ago, it's a little tangent, but like when I like borrowed my mom's point and shoot, I hated like not having the viewfinder even back then.
So you really like the optical viewfinder?
Well, it's okay. It's funny, like with wildlife, of course, yes. But like every other thing, I use a tripod, like I've said before on like previous episodes or whatever. But like I really don't. I use a live view pretty much exclusively.
I agree with Ryan. When I'm shooting like wildlife, I love my OVF because there's no delay, and obviously with the AVF, sometimes it can be a little hard to like track your subjects, which obviously isn't very good for wildlife. But I mean, like if pretty. With the exception of portraiture, pretty much anything else I'm shooting, I use live view. And like even if I was shooting portraiture, I would be okay with the AVF instead of an OVF because it's not like they're running or I'm having to track them really difficult or anything. Now sports, that could become a problem, but that's a whole other topic.
See, for me, I have the EVF, and I've actually never. I mean, I've used a DSLR, but I started with mirrorless. I started with a little point and shoot, which was mirrorless, and then I had the M50, which was mirrorless, and now I have this. And I absolutely love it because I never get any overexposed shots. Like, it's very rare for me. I underexpose sometimes, but usually that's purposeful. But with the EVF, I can see literally what exactly I'll get. I can even do a depth of field preview, so I can see.
And that's what I hate about the OVF, personally, because like if you messed up your exposure from a previous shoot and like you're trying to hurry and take a photo, with the EVF you're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm really overexposed, or oh my gosh, I'm really underexposed, I can't see my subject. With the OVF you don't get that. You're literally just seeing like you would with your eye, and sometimes you'll like go back and look at the shots and you'll be like, oh my gosh, it's overexposed.
It's like
my fear with the OVF is, say I'm doing like a batch of portrait images and I pick the same exposure that I thought was perfect, and then you look back later and they're all overexposed or something. Like that wouldn't happen
when you're using an OVF. You really got to check your back monitor at least like every 5 minutes to make sure something's not going wrong.
Yep. I don't know if you guys know this about mirrorless, but I can just look at the images right.
I knew that was like
I can
possible.
Look at my taken images.
I've heard that's like a selling point. That makes it stand out from DSLRs.
Yep. And I think mirrorless is ultimately the future, but I'm sure there will always be a DSLR market for the older people or the people who want more.
It's even like the wildlife shooters. They like some of them. I know. I think Morton Hilmer uses mirrorless. I believe like certain ones are kind of migrating over to that because if I remember correctly, when they first came out, it was like not really. Like going to be used for that kind of genre, really. But yeah, it seems like everyone's just kind of hopping on that bandwagon.
I feel like we've
I believe
Z6, yeah. I feel like we've reached the peak of DSLRs. Like if you want to get a DSLR, you can get some amazing ones. Like you can buy some DSLRs and be happy with them for life because they're really good. Like the D850 or like one of the 5Ds or even a 1DX if you're doing sports and stuff. They're amazing. And they're starting to integrate that live view autofocus that's really good, like straight from the mirrorless, which is cool too. So you have that for video. I know that was a problem for a long time. Like the autofocus was so inconsistent between the two. Like the viewfinder had really good autofocus and
there's like
the live view had terrible autofocus.
A lag or delay. Yeah, I feel like I agree with you. Where I do think mirrorless is the future. I'm not sure how long it'll be, but I feel like idealistically, I feel like DSLRs, traditional ones, and then mirrorless are kind of live harmoniously, or they might even just meld and merge into kind of one super camera. I don't know, but mirrorless just feels like a nice successor really.
If you look at the
what we've known,
the Fuji X-Pro 3, it's a DSLR mirrorless hybrid. It has a viewfinder and an EVF.
Oh, really?
You get to choose between the two. It's pretty awesome, actually.
That's news to me. All these things I don't know about gear. Maybe I should.
Yeah, and that's
know
actually
more.
a recent camera, which is cool. The one.
Yeah, maybe that's like the perfect gateway into it, or vice versa.
I'd say the One Pro with the OVF is how clear everything is. Like no matter how high resolution your EVF gets, you're never going to be able to see things with that amount of clarity and stuff.
Yeah. Backpedaling a little bit, but I thought it was interesting. You said you started with mirrorless.
Yep.
That's something a little different. Yeah, it's just kind of funny now that people can start saying that, when they start hopping on photography. Yep. Yeah. Usually you think it's the other way around, but yeah, it's pretty neat.
I remember I was trying to decide between the one of the SL cameras, the Canon DSLRs, and the it was like a Rebel thing, and the M50, and I just went with the M50 because of mostly the video specs, but
yeah, it's very fair. Well, do you guys have any announcements or any big updates to end the show here?
I just have some brief things. So like I said, I bought that 600mm, so there's going to be a lot of content on that lens in the future. I did a 600mm unboxing. It was really short. Not the greatest video in the world, but make sure you check that out. And I've got a new RF lens coming, the 24-240, and I'll probably make 1 or 2 videos about that. That's pretty much it for me. I'm finally starting to get working on my EOS RP review. I've had it for 9-10 months now. So. Yeah, and I'm thinking about even doing an in-depth menu video.
I don't really have anything like super big, but today I released a bird photography video, which is really just pretty much centered around turkeys. I do have a trip coming up that will actually be at the beach. I'm actually there as you all are hearing this podcast, viewers. And I'll be probably filming a couple of videos there, and I'll definitely be getting some landscapes and wildlife, both, hopefully. So.
Yeah, I'd love to. Are you going to like Florida or something? Yeah, there's some great forests. Well, not forests, kind of like jungles almost. There's palm trees and at least where I've gone in North Carolina, I've gotten some really great shots.
That sounds exciting.
And I watched your bird photography video. It was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was. I love your turkey shots. It's very suspenseful. I got 2 things. Actually, I did release a video recently. I mentioned it in the last episode of the podcast about how I was stuck in development of this kind of wild camping video. And so I finally went back after recording that previous episode. I went back and finished it, so to speak. And so it's been uploaded. It's available. It's 40 minutes, so it's kind of can be a little snoozer. I kind of just let the editing flow however long it had to be, really. I could have trimmed the fat a little bit, but it's a nice little journey, overnight camping and taking some photographs in between. But yeah, so check that out on my YouTube channel. And
did you say you already
bigger announcement? Yeah, I think it's been up for about yesterday actually.
How did I not see that?
So the 12th. Yeah, I didn't promote it really on my Instagram. I probably should, but yeah.
I'm subscribed, so
kind of
should have shown up, but I don't know.
Yeah, it should be on there though. Yeah, it's public now. And then probably the bigger thing. This is more it's kind of still in the works, but I guess I will tease it a little bit. I'm getting this pretty big actually. It's probably one of the biggest things in my career so far. I'm getting this freelance job with a local nonprofit organization so I've been a member of this. It's like a wetlands association, and I've been a member for 4 years. So I've kind of gone to know them over the years. Gone to like guided hikes with them, just kind of meeting all the members. So they own some local like park properties, and they want me to photograph pretty much on commission, essentially as freelance. They want me to photograph different, like a sunrise at this place, whatever at this place. And so it's cool because I've already had shots over these past couple of years at these places. So I already had like a portfolio established
really cool. Awesome.
without even like trying to. Yeah, so I've gotten to know the executive director because she's actually bought work for me earlier this year. And she just kind of mentioned, was like, hey, I was interested, if you were at least, to commission, and we want to start paying people for their work, of course, because usually they just do donations, which I've done in the past. And I was like, well, yeah, of course. So yeah, I'm gonna be photographing different park properties that they own, and then not only that, but more recently, she said she would like me to photograph like stewardship meetings, volunteer events with like people in them, of course. And so there's just like a whole lot going on. So I'm really excited.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I've been like, it's been nerve-wracking because I've had to like learn in the past week like a lot of like legal stuff. I had to like consult one of my good friends, an older gentleman, who he's been doing photography since pretty much our age, and I had a almost 3-hour phone call just to for legal. He's not a lawyer, but like just his advice on how to write a contract, and because I've never done anything like this size or scope. But yeah, right. So I'm really excited about all that.
So are you talking
still kind of in the works?
Talking like mostly landscapes or some wildlife too,
or? Yeah, I mainly pitched the scenics, like the wide angle kind of landscapes. But I did, of course, mention, I kind of put on this online gallery that's on my website. It's unlisted, so only they can see it with like a password. But it's just photos I took of anywhere I've taken of those places. So yeah, to answer your question, I do have like bird shots, flower shots, everything in between.
Like how many parks like?
They have like a dozen. So, and then like the volunteering is at each one. But like I said, it's kind of like I'm licensing photos, and then I'm taking like almost like model releases, and it's more like a service on the other side too. So it's like there's a lot going on there that you could work off of, really.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So I know I've been overwhelmed to say the least about it, but at the same time really kind of thrilled that they are really excited to like collaborate with me. And this is going to be like a long-term thing too. It's not just like 1 or 2 jobs. It'll be like a working relationship however long we want to. So it's a big deal for me, but that's pretty much all I had to say about it.
Congratulations.
That's awesome. Like you said, you were part of that for like 4 years, and you built up a relationship.
Yeah, I'm just saying as like a member, it's like wetlands conservation, so like stuff I'm interested in, of course.
Awesome.
But yeah,
my uncle is like a lawyer for the environment. Like he works with wetlands all the time. So.
Oh yeah,
really
yeah.
Cool.
It's cool because they're in my hometown too. So it's like I said, I've photographed these places for years now. So it's like I'm very familiar with them.
And some people expect if you're working with someone for them to give you a job instantly.
Right.
Like you have to be patient. You know what I mean? Like
that shows how
really
building
build
relationships can really give you
bond.
a potential for a job in the future.
Like for
the executive director, she follows me on Instagram, and so she's like seen my work, of course, and then like I said, she bought something from me earlier this year. So it's kind of like networking. You just kind of building blocks over time.
For me, at least,
until it gets to like a point like this.
I emailed a guy who he's the head photographer at my school, and I talked to him last fall, and he told me to email him, and I actually emailed him in like November of last year, and he finally responded to me like last week. Like it shows it's if you are consistent over time, eventually different people become interested.
Henry.
Henry.
Yeah.
Henry.
Oh, was I muted?
Yeah. You just cut out mid-sentence. You're saying Your start over with like your director.
Okay, so
Start the story
this was
over.
just kind of just a quick thing. I emailed this guy at my school. He's the head photographer, does all the event stuff. And he actually came to me and said he wanted help at some point. And he told me to email him with some information and stuff. He actually didn't respond until like last week. And I emailed him last November. But I'm going to help him on some stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. But it just shows patience is important. Like I could have just blocked him or something or given up, but I didn't. So.
Yeah, not to preach too much, but like photographers are just other people. It's like they'll just be like, so when are you going full time? And I'm like, you don't understand. It's like it takes years to build up to like something of that. Yeah. It just takes
I'm sure if you start accumulating jobs like that, you might be able to go full time at some point.
Oh yeah, no, I'm like they made it like serious, as in like, yeah, we're excited. At least for me, what I was talking about with mine, it's like, we're excited to work with you and collaborate, and let us know how you want to pay and whatever contract, whatever forms you got, send them our way. Like they're just being super like forgiving, which I mean they're all nice people, so I've met a lot of them.
Well, folks,
so
I think that seems like a good place to close, if you ask me. We want to thank you all very much for watching this week's episode of the All Outdoors Photography Podcast.
All right, that's going to wrap up another episode here of the All Outdoors Photography Podcast. We're available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, and the video version on YouTube as well. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.